On May 3rd, 1999, a tornado outbreak occurred in parts of the southern Great Plains, particularly around the Oklahoma City metro area. There were several known tornadoes that occurred in this outbreak. However, there is one tornado that is most known, infamous, and record-breaking of these tornadoes. What was initially seen as a day of some severe weather and maybe a few tornadoes turned into an event that will go down in weather history as one of the scariest, insane, and fastest wind speed events in the world. Welcome to the Bridge Creek Moore Tornado documentary. Hi, I am Pat from Pat's Path Predictor, and welcome to the Bridge Creek Moore Tornado Outbreak documentary. In this documentary, we will be covering both the tornado itself as well as the behind the scenes and how it got to this massive, hellish tornado. So sit back and relax and enjoy the show as we go over everything that happened with the Bridge Creek Moore tornado. The May 3rd event was part of a large tornado outbreak that occurred from May 2nd to May 8th, 1999. And during this outbreak, 154 tornadoes touched down and would kill a total of 50 people and injure almost 900. However, 72 of these tornadoes and the vast majority of the casualties occurred on May 3rd, and that is the focus of this video. On May 3rd, 1999, the Storm Prediction Center issued a high risk for severe weather across parts of Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. Unfortunately, because the archives do not go that far back, we do not know the wind, hail, and tornado risk with this. What we do know is that the SPC was taking May 3rd very seriously. Nevertheless, they would be completely caught off guard by something they had never seen before nor expected. This unexpected event would be arguably the most hellish, scary, and violent tornadoes in world history. Welcome to the part where we cover everything that happened with the Bridge Creek Moore tornado. Before we talk about the results of the Skewties, we must first talk about how they work. Skewties measure temperature, dew point, and plot a parcel path in the upper atmosphere. In simple terms, the green line is the dew point and the red line is the temperature, where the black line is the parcel path. If the parcel path is to the right of the temperature, that means that it is saturated, and the space between the parcel path and temperature is the convective available potential energy, or CAPE for short. The more CAPE you have, the more severe weather is possible. How large the CAPE is depends on how much space there is between the parcel path and temperature there is. Countering this CAPE is the amount of stable air that is below the CAPE, more commonly known as the cap. If there is a strong cap, and severe weather is less likely due to the amount of stable air countering this CAPE. However, if the cap is weaker, the CAPE can easily overcome it. If the cap breaks, it will break explosively and potentially permit lots of severe weather to occur. On May 3rd, 1999, the CAPE values were as followed. By 12 UTC, or 7 a.m. Central Daylight Time, the CAPE was already at 1,169 joules per kilogram, which is a pretty impressive number considering that of what we are looking at now. By 18 UTC, or 1 p.m., it had already surged to 2,785 joules per kilogram, which is a pretty conducive environment for any severe weather to happen. The jet stream and wind profiles for May 3rd were almost perfect for severe weather with potentially very powerful supercells. There was plenty of moisture for the formation of these thunderstorms, and a dry line was right in place to impact the Oklahoma City metro area. Arguably the most famous tornado known to both civilians and meteorologists alike, the Bridge Creek Moore tornado would touch down at 6:23 p.m. Central Daylight Time in Grady County, Oklahoma. This tornado rapidly intensified into a monster EF4 shortly after touching down. This tornado would then intensify into an EF5 tornado as it approached Bridge Creek and directly hit the town. In Bridge Creek, a mobile Doppler radar would record a wind speed of over 300 miles per hour, the fastest wind speed ever recorded in the world. Damage in Bridge Creek can only be described as apocalyptic. Many homes were left with nothing but the concrete slabs where they once stood. The tornado was so powerful that the debris it lifted was broken into very small pieces and the trees were left with no bark to speak of. Massive ground scouring occurred with the storm and would lift many vehicles in the air. Tragically, 12 people were killed in Bridge Creek and 39 more were injured. The tornado would briefly weaken to EF4 strength before re-intensifying to an EF5, where a wheel-built home with anchor bolts attached was slabbed. It then became clear that this monster was heading towards the Oklahoma City metro area and showing no signs of weakening. At this realization, at 6:57 p.m., the National Weather Service issued the first ever tornado emergency for southern portions of Oklahoma City metro, including Norman and Moore. 2 minutes after this, at 6:59, the NWS issued a particularly dangerous situation tornado watch for central Oklahoma until midnight. The tornado then paralleled Interstate 44, crossing the highway twice at EF4 strength. The tornado then weakened to EF2 strength as it entered Cleveland County. However, minutes later, it would rapidly intensify to EF5 strength as it approached Moore. Moore was directly hit by this tornado, and just as in Bridge Creek, Moore saw many homes slabbed and several vehicles thrown up to a quarter of a mile away from where they once were. In Moore, 11 people were killed and almost 300 were injured by this tornado, and the damage had an estimate price tag of $450 million for this area. As this tornado progressed, the NWS office in Norman was preparing to evacuate staff from the facility due to possibility that the tornado would shift into a more of an eastward path. Thankfully, this tornado continued to move northeast and stayed away from the Norman area, sparing the town, the University of Oklahoma, and the NWS office. The tornado would then hit Westmore High School, where a ceremony was held. Thankfully, they were given lots of warning ahead of time and were able to shelter in place in the main building. Nevertheless, the high school sustained heavy damage, but no one was killed or seriously injured. The tornado then entered the city limits of Oklahoma City and re-intensified from an EF3 to a high-end EF4 and would kill 2 people in a building housing a truck company as it was completely destroyed. Notably, an 18-ton freight train car was lifted and thrown 3/4 of a mile. After crossing Sooner Road, the tornado would damage Tinker Air Base and destroy one building at the Boeing complex in Oklahoma City. Many homes and businesses were destroyed, either ranking at high-end EF4 or low-end EF5 damage. The tornado would then continue to tear through neighborhoods at EF4 strength from 29th Street to 11th Street. However, the tornado would begin to rapidly weaken to EF1 strength before finally dissipating at 6:48 p.m. Central Daylight Time. The damage associated with this monster was catastrophic, with some neighborhoods completely swept away from existence. The tornado would ultimately kill 36 people and cost over $1 billion in damage. President Bill Clinton signed a major disaster declaration on May 4th, with FEMA Director James Lee Witt saying, quote, "The President is deeply concerned with the tragic loss of life and destruction caused by these destructive storms." After the aftermath of this tornado, a rebuilding campaign began with the goal to build homes with storm shelters, and a $12 million project was put in place to construct storm shelters in Oklahoma City to shelter residents. However, these storm systems would once again be put into test 14 years later. On May 20th, 2013, an EF5 tornado would hit a town that was familiar similarly, and also one of the towns that was hit during the Bridge Creek Moore tornado. However, that is a story for another time. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you for taking this trip down memory lane as we went down the path of the Bridge Creek Moore tornado. Once again, I am Pat's Path Predictor, and thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and like this video, and comment down below if you have witnessed this and if you were part of this, because I can never imagine just how much hell this was to experience, and I probably never will. But until next time, thank you for watching. Stay safe.